82. Yes, it's day 82, and I'm still trying to think of things to cook from my freezer and pantry. I like to come up with unique meals sometimes, so I don't have to keep eating the same thing over and over and getting bored. Ooh, coffee time. Yum. So it's another nice morning here. Going to be in the upper 60s. Yesterday was a beautiful day, but I spent most of it inside because I was making seitan. So the seitan turned out well. I still need to marinate it. It's very earthy tasting. So seitan has been around for a lot of years, many. The Buddhist monks were vegetarian, and they ate it centuries ago. So there's nothing fake about it. It's no more fake than eating a loaf of bread, because it has flour. It's just made with flour. The difference is in the seasonings and in the preparation techniques, but it's all made with real food. Even though it mimics a meat-like flavor, it's not the same as meat. It's a meat replacement, but it's not a fake food. It's no more fake than cheese or milk. I mean, these are all things that are processed and fermented, like yogurt, that's fermented, kombucha is fermented, but it's not fake. So, but there are some fake meats out there, the processed meats that you buy, the Beyond Burger, the Impossible Burger. Yeah, I would call those faux meats, because they're very much more processed. But things like seitan and tofu and things you make with food like that, they're not fake foods. They're real foods. They're just plant-based. So there's a difference, and it's not for everybody. If you've grown up eating meat your whole life, I understand. I ate meat most of my life, but the last 10 years I have gone to eating a plant-based diet. I don't consider myself vegan, even though I do follow a lot of the vegan traditions. I try not to, I don't eat meat at all, but some of the ideals are good thoughts. So, but we all have to do what we feel is right, and not judge one another. And what difference does it make what I eat or you eat if we go out to lunch together and I order a salad and you order a steak? That's the way we eat. So I'm just trying to help people that are struggling with the prices nowadays in the grocery store, and our incomes, a lot of us, they keep shrinking as opposed to the cost of living. And I want to present you with some alternatives if you're struggling and you can't eat the way you used to eat. So that's part of my purpose for doing a lot of this cooking of my freezer and pantry, is to show some other options. And I'm not trying to convert anybody or, say what you eat is wrong, but I'm just trying to be helpful and present some alternatives. So these days, a lot of us are finding that we have to tighten our belts, unfortunately. In the last couple years, things have just gone from bad to worse, and not to be a gloom and doom sayer, but you know, it's reality, and we have to make adjustments and do the best we can with what we have. And that's what I'm trying to do, and a lot of us are trying to do the same thing. So, and those of us that are fortunate enough that make lots of money, and this whole economic downturn doesn't affect them, that's wonderful, you know, but a lot of us are not in that situation, and we're starting to struggle. So maybe having a little garden, even if it's just a window garden. There are a lot of free gardening ideas that you can find on YouTube using plastic bottles from Coke that you can cut up and string together and make a window garden. Just look around on YouTube for tutorials. There's a lot of that out there. Or if you're very new to gardening, there's lots and lots of starter garden videos out there, container gardening. Some people dedicate a room to gardening because they want fresh produce and they don't want to have to depend on the supply line. And so, you know, I'm trying to think of creative ideas and ways that I can share with you that maybe makes life a little easier for me and for you. All right, so I'll be back in a little while, and I'll show you what I'm going to have for breakfast. Day 82. Good morning. Okay, I have my coffee. I'm enjoying it. Cheers. I thought we'd have a little coffee chat this morning. So I wanted to share with you some of my ideas. I wrote them down since I'm redecorating. And I bought this notebook, I think at Dollar Tree, and I had this ribbon that I got somewhere, I don't know, and I just tied it to the spine, and I use it as a place marker. So that works real well. But anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about today, I wanted to give you some money-saving tips. And I wanted to do two different things. I wanted to do decorating, and then I have just a few for money-saving tips on food. So, all right, let's get right into it. And if you guys have any money-saving tips on whatever, food, decorating, clothing, whatever, leave us a comment below so that we can exchange ideas. So, all right, let me get started. So if you can't afford to redecorate a whole room, and you have a lot of decor in your house, then just try swapping it out. You know, put your bedroom decor in the living room, or put your living room decor in the bedroom, and start there. Because, I mean, you have surfaces, so what's the difference what you put on them? And if the colors don't match, you can always spray paint them, and then you can do it again next time and spray paint them again. There's nothing that says you can't spray paint something more than once. So you can start there. This camera's crooked. You guys are gonna all have to bend your head. Okay, that's better. All right, my next tip. For your bathrooms, buy a basic color of towel, like your bath towels and things like that, and then just swap out hand towels in a different color for the different seasons. So you don't have to swap out all your towels, but get colors that coordinate with it. That's what I do in my guest bathroom down here. For each season, I just swap out the hand towels, just different colors. The rest of the decor stays the same, but it makes such a big difference in the colors. Like coming up now, I have my winter towels out there, which are sort of a burgundy and green, and I'll insert a photo of that. And then in the spring now, I do a light yellow and, a different color scheme. And it makes a big difference in the feel of that room. And hand towels are not that expensive. You can pick them up at Walmart. Dollar Tree has hand towels. They probably don't have the color selection, but buying new hand towels is much, much cheaper than buying a whole set of new towels. And wash rags too, washcloths. Tom always teases me because I say wash rags. He says they're washcloths, not wash rags. So, whatever. You know what I mean. The things to wash yourself. Okay, keep old picture frames. Keep a good assortment of sizes of picture frames. And then you can swap out pictures. Keep old calendars if you see a magazine picture you like, a photo that you like. Even if you're into the black and white thing, you can always take a picture of something on your phone and make it whatever size you want. And I know most of us have a smartphone or some sort of a camera, and then you can make it in black and white, or you can make it, in I forget what you call it when it's the brown. Well, anyway, and then if you can't print it yourself, you can always go and have it printed at one of these print places, and you can get yourself new decor. Now, if the picture is too small, you can always do some matting around it. You can get the foam at Dollar Tree, the foam board, or I think they have other larger sheets of different colored papers. Well, anyway, and you can make a matting around the picture to fit the frame. So that way you get some cheap artwork, and you don't have to pay a lot. Or you could, let me check my notes here, and then you can paint the picture frame to complement the art that's inside. And again, you can repaint the picture frame. And if you're into like a farmhouse look, something like that, even as you repaint these things, you can always sand the edges a little bit and give yourself a vintage look for really inexpensive. But there's no rule that says you can't repaint things in different colors several times. Use old clothes, worn sheets, old sweaters to make new pillow covers for your decor. And if it's not quite the right color, get yourself a little bottle of fabric dye, and you can dye it, and then it'll match your decor. And that's a cheap way to reuse things and not have to throw them out. And it gives your room a whole new look, just getting new pillows. You can make your own painting using some cardboard, and you can make it to the size of whatever frames you've saved back in the previous tip, and prime it with some white primer, and then use your old household paint. Most of us have household paint hanging around, and make yourself some artwork. You can make geometric artwork, and you can coordinate it to go with the colors of your room. And whatever old paint you have, you can mix it into different colors, but those colors will almost always go with your room decor. So you can do that. That's pretty much free. And if you don't have any old paint hanging around, ask your friends or your relatives for their old paint, because most of us have old paint and we don't know what to do with it. It just sits there year after year. So you might as well put it to good use. You can do the same thing by painting your furniture. And again, there's no rule that says you can't put more than one coat of a different color of paint, and you can distress that too if you're into that look, or you can put wax on it to make it more of a glossy look if you're more into the modern vibe, or you can cover it with varnish, anything like that. So you can even pick up some old furniture if a relative's getting rid of it, and you can redo, let's say, an old dresser into a buffet. You know, just things like that where you can make a room look really nice and put together. And pick your color scheme, usually 3 or 4 colors. Like I'm redoing my living room. I know I've been talking about it for a good month, but I'm not done yet. It takes me forever to do anything. But the colors that I picked for in there are orange, green, cream, and chocolate brown. So I have those 4 colors going on, and they all complement each other. So pick your color scheme, get your paint, and look for your photos and your pictures, and go with that. Let's see. Oh, you can make new floral arrangements. If you have an old one that you're tired of, or somebody's getting rid of some, or you're in a thrift store and you see an arrangement, you like the flowers but you don't like the arrangement, then you can tear that apart. If you have an old bowl, a nice wooden bowl would be nice, or even a glass bowl. And again, you can spray paint glass. You know, you can spray it on the inside or the outside. If you spray it on the inside, then the outside will look shiny. If you spray it on the outside, it'll look like the paint. And you can buy paint that has texture. You can make it look like stone or copper or whatever. I mean, the sky's the limit. Spray paint is your friend when you're decorating on the cheap. So another thing you can do with that is go out in your yard, or when you're out on a walk and you see some interesting shaped branches, pick those up, take them home, and you can pick off flowers or leaves from silk flowers and then glue them on to the branches, and it gives it a real nice look. That is your other best friend when you're decorating on the cheap, is a glue gun. And I know they have those at Dollar Tree, but they're not that expensive. You can pick up a better one at Walmart too. And even the glue sticks don't cost that much. So spray paint and glue guns and cardboard, you know, save cardboard. You can make different things with that. There's YouTube channels that I've watched that they make their decor out of cardboard boxes. So, and a lot of the things we buy nowadays are cardboard boxes. You can make your own, you know, those bins that slide into the cubbies. You can make your own of those. Just cover cardboard with some fabric and hot glue it together and into a box, and you can make it whatever color you want. So that's another idea. I have a couple more. You can also, when you're out on your walk looking for branches, if you find a longer, thicker branch, you can save that and some people do those and make curtain rods out of them. They're very organic. If you're into that look, you can make yourself some curtain rods, or you can, if you have old yarn hanging around or anything like that, learn a few basic knots and make yourself a macrame hanging. And then you can even brush it with a brush, and it'll turn into like a fluffy, the ends of it will turn into like a fluffy pom-pom kind of look. So you can do that, and that would be pretty much free if you have the yarn, or ask some old friends that maybe were into knitting or wanted to get into knitting and they're not doing it, if they have any old yarn. So, and then you can use, if you like a thicker look, you can use 2 or 3 strands of yarn before you do your knot, and that'll give you a little bit thicker, not so delicate wall hanging. And your old jewelry, as long as the cord you're using or whatever, you can also use jute cord, of course, and I know they sell that at the Dollar Tree. Save your old beads, and you can also put beads in with your knots. And if the beads are the wrong color, again, you can spray paint them. You know, if you want your wall hanging to have brown beads or copper beads, and you can do that and make yourself a beautiful wall hanging, and nobody else has it. Let's see. Oh, when you're buying thrifted items and you want a cohesive look on those items, even your own decor, you don't have to buy anything if you have what you want. Think shape and color. So if you want a vignette with a bird and a birdhouse and whatever, and the bird is purple and your decor doesn't go with purple at all, or just find the shapes you want and then paint whatever you don't like the color of into a cohesive looking vignette, and use an old plate, either one you have or one you thrifted, and make yourself a really nice vignette, and add some maybe silk greenery to it. And I mean, you can do all kinds of things with stuff like that. And if you aren't very creative on your own, again, there's a ton of YouTube channels of people that buy thrifted things and redo them. I think it's the Cottage Fairy. She has a channel, and she does a lot of vintage looking thrifting things, and you know, having decor that goes together. So those were just some of the things that I came up with. I'm sure you guys all have some brilliant ideas that I would love if you shared them down below, and we can all save some money, because honestly, I can't afford to go out and buy very high-end things. I have to work with what I have. Now, in my living room, I did buy new things. I had to get rid of the old couch. Yes, it's gone, and I was very sad when they crushed it in the dumpster truck. But it had a good life. And but I needed new chairs, and the chairs that I found were not exactly the color I wanted, but they were cheap. And so I bought them, and when they came, you know, at first I went, whoa, those are bright. And then I thought, I really like them. So then I changed my whole decor colors in my living room. But that required me to I got new pillows, I got some new throws, the chairs, and I got some new window treatments, but they were all cheap too. But I think it's going to come together and look really nice. And then I also had to consider that I have 3 dogs that love to be on the furniture, And I still have my love seat that went with the couch because it isn't worn out. So I just bought a cover for that, and I had actually bought the cover at Mark's for really cheap. It was like $8 or $9 for the love seat cover. And I've had that just laying around, not knowing really what to do with it. So, but I came up with an idea, and I also came up with an idea so the dogs will be comfortable. It'll be easier to keep clean for me, and I think it'll work out. But I'll show you when I get it done. I promise I'm working on it, and I will show you when it's done. So anyway, a couple more things I wanted to share with you. This doesn't have to do with decorating. It has to do with food, of course. And I wanted to just talk a little bit about simplifying your food needs. So, you know, if you think about using up what you have, like I'm trying to do, so use up your freezer food and use it with your pantry foods. So think of things that you can combine together to come up with new recipes. And I know All Recipes and some of the other websites, if you type in, I think in the search, your ingredients, they'll suggest some meals that you can make with it, and you can pick what you like. And like with me, sometimes I buy things that sound good, and then they just sit there. So don't restock any items that you seldom use. You know, it's not worth the space. If it's something you like only once in a while, then just buy that item when you have a taste for it. That's something that's not worth keeping in your stock. Make a weekly food list. Personally, I don't shop according to a recipe. I just don't do it that way. I do it the opposite way. I do my meal planning from what I have, not from getting a recipe and then going out and buying everything for that recipe. I do the opposite. And that's how I've always done it. And that's worked for me. If the other way works for you, that's great. But this is how I keep an inventory and cook my food. Simplify your stock of what you're keeping. Only stock those items that you use all the time. Your flour, your sugar, your beans, your rice, all those sorts of things. Stock up a lot on those things, and then rotate it, of course, so you don't waste it. If you make a lot of bread, of course, bread flour. If you like to bake, salt, don't forget salt, pepper, your basic spices. Those are the things to stock up on. Things that you really like that you can complement with other things like produce or fruit, but simplify your basic stock. Make your own spice blends. Save little jars of, pickles or whatever it is you like to eat, and then make your own spice blends. And make them out of basic spices. You don't have to have real exotic, expensive spices to make spice blends. And there again, look on the internet for some basic recipes. Let's say you make a lot of chili or whatever. Make a chili spice blend, or make your own spaghetti blend, and it'll save you a lot of time where you won't have to go and redo all those ingredients every time you want to make something. And it saves time, and it also saves money. And Dollar Tree, Walmart, our local Marks, they all have spices that run about $1. And they have your basics: basil, chives, Italian seasoning. You get the picture. And get a good stock of those and keep 2 or 3 on hand so that you don't run out, and then also make your spice blends. Freeze some of the mixes of the veggies that you use for basic recipes that you cook all the time. In other words, if you make a lot of chili, then, you know, and you use peppers and onions and garlic or whatever it is you put in your chili, tomatoes, freeze all those in packages in your freezer. Then all you have to do is take one of those packages out, brown your meat of choice, whatever that might be, plant-based or animal, and then you have everything right there, and you save a lot of time doing that. And another thing that you can do, save your old bread bags or any bags, plastic bags kind of thing, clean them out, and then you can put your veggie blends in those bags. But I would suggest you double bag them and then stick them in your freezer. That way when you're in a hurry and you want to stick something in your slow cooker or your Instant Pot, you don't have to stand there and chop up all your vegetables and things. It's already prepped and ready to go. You can do the same thing with fruits for your smoothies. If you have fruits that are starting to go bad, stick them in a freezer bag, and you can do that with your bananas, your peaches, whatever fruit you have, and just make a blend, and then you can make yourself smoothies out of it. And my last tip for today is grow your green onions, and I've talked about this in many of my other videos, in a glass near a window in your kitchen. Most of us have a kitchen window or a window near our kitchen, and then just put enough water just to cover the roots, and clean them every day or 2, and then just refill it with water, and you'll be amazed how well your green onions grow. So, okay, I'm going to stop blabbing now. I haven't had any coffee here yet. I mean, I've had some, but just wet my whistle a little bit. And then in a little while, I'm going to come back and I'm going to cut up my seitan. I have a meat slicing machine I've had for years, and I'm going to slice that and marinate my seitan, and I'll show that to you when I get that done. And I'll be back shortly, since I haven't had breakfast yet, or maybe I'll do the breakfast video part first. Well, anyway, I'll be back in a little bit, and I'll show you what I'm up to with my food. Look, no snow. Lots of wind. And birds. Well, he was there a second ago. They're busy. I think they're starting to make nests. It amazes me how early they make their nests. So, no snow, but I sure have a mess going. That first spring cleanup is always a bear. So, lots of junk in the yard. Yeah, it'll look better, trust me. Alright, back in. Time for breakfast. Day 82. Here we go on another cooking adventure. Alright, let's see. I know what I'm going to have. I have this tempeh bacon that needs to get eaten. So I'm going to have that. And up here I have these 2 cream cheese. So I have to see which one's older. So let me take a look. Okay, this one was 6/12/22 and this one's 9/12/22. So we still have some time for that one. I'm going to choose this one. And I'm going to have some of my homemade bread with it. So I may also have some yogurt. And I might make chocolate yogurt again because that was really good. So, my tempeh bacon and chocolate. Okay, I'll meet you at the stove. Okay, here I have everything for breakfast, and I didn't take any more of my freezer jam out of the freezer, but I have this blackberry jelly I'm going to use instead. And I buy this brand because it's cute. It's Blackburns, and it must be from Texas because it says Go Texan. But I like this because it comes with a little mason jar cup, and it's cheaper than Smucker's. So I usually buy that, and they have blackberry, peach, strawberry, kind of all the basic flavors, and it's good. All right, sweetener, whatever you like, sugar or other sweetener. I like the, now I can't remember what I call it. I think I'm going to put the chocolate in first. Okay, half a teaspoon or so. And I'm going to put in a nice blob of jelly just to give it a little bit of a fruity flavor. All right, and then I'm going to put in my yogurt. And a couple people have asked about this yogurt. And the next time I make it, because again I combined my own recipe, next time I make it I will definitely share the process with you. I didn't want to do that to begin with because I didn't know how it would turn out, but it turned out so nice that I will share that with you. So that's good. And then I cut a couple slices of my bread. Now I'm going to put this bread in the refrigerator because homemade bread will get moldy quick because there's no preservatives. And boy, I got a big mess going here from yesterday's seitan. And today is going to be a long video because I want to show that to you too. And then we still have dinner to do. So if you get bored with me, well, then I guess we'll just have to come back tomorrow, right? But I think this will be fine with this blackberry jelly. It's a little harder to mix up than my homemade jam. But, you know, some people like cream cheese and jelly. My grandpa used to eat cream cheese and jelly all the time. Do any of you eat cream cheese and jelly? All right, so that's one option, but I would like to use my tempeh bacon. And normally I would make a BLT, but I don't have any L or T, so I'm just going to do this. And it'll be good. I like cream cheese with some sort of luncheon meat. And that's why I made the seitan. But it's not ready yet. I still have to marinate it. So I'll be back after I get this put together because I'm sure watching me smear cream cheese is not the most exciting thing happening in your life. Okay, so here it is, breakfast day 82. Chocolate blackberry yogurt, my homemade bread with cream cheese, and tempeh bacon. Now tempeh is fermented soybeans, very high in protein. And you can make your own, but it's a process, so that's something that I would rather buy. But anyway, I'm going to go enjoy this and make a second cup of coffee, and I'll see you back in a little while, and we'll have some more fun. I've been having a lot of fun in my kitchen. I made this seitan yesterday, and if it turns out, I'll share the recipe, and I have 4 chunks in here. Looks very meaty, and this was made with Vital wheat gluten. It wasn't made with wash the flour. And over here I have my little rival fold-up slicer that I've had for years. I don't even know if you can buy these new anymore, but I know the food slicers all run about $100, so I don't use it very often, but I intend to use it more often because I want to make my vegetarian protein from scratch. So I will still buy some pre-made, but most of it I want to make from scratch because it's way cheaper. This vegan and vegetarian food is just, the prices are out of control, and I don't like to play that game. So anyway, I'm going to slice a couple of these up. I made my marinade, and this marinade, it comes in the cookbook, The Chicago Diner. And I made the seitan sort of the same way, except I put some different spices in it. So anyway, I'm going to be back in a minute after I get this all set up. Okay, so this has an adjustable thickness gauge, and I want this sliced fairly thin. I already tried it out a little bit, make sure it works, because I haven't used this in a long time. So I have a little piece left. I'm going to slice up 2 of these, and then I want to freeze 2. So I'm going to go ahead and finish slicing this one up. And this works pretty easy. Alright, you get the idea. And this is about as thin as it'll go. And these slices were a little thicker, so I did make adjustments. And as you can see, my seitan is not spongy, has a nice texture. So, yeah, and it's not that hard to make. It's time consuming, but it's not that hard to make. And I have a dough mixer, so that makes the kneading process pretty easy. If you have to do it all by hand, it can be pretty labor intensive, but you know, I have all these gadgets, so I might as well use them. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and slice up another one of these, and then I'm going to put it in the marinade. So I'll be back. Alright, so these are the 2 I have left that I'm going to freeze. And you need to refrigerate this overnight after you cook it to firm it up. So those will be for other meals. And then here I have everything that I sliced up. Now basically this is just going to pickle this. I blitzed it in the blender because I didn't have any dill pickle juice. And all I had was dill pickle relish. So I just used the dill pickle relish. along with the beet juice and some spices. So I'm going to marinate this for at least a day. And I'm just going to pour this over, and this will give it a little bit of a reddish color, along with more flavor. So that's it, and it wasn't that hard. Now after, I could freeze some of this. If it gets to be too much, I'll just stick more of that in the freezer. But I had a taste for some corned beef with St. Patrick's Day coming up. So I don't know how red this is going to get, because this roast beef is dark because I put coffee and cocoa in there. But we'll see. So I'll go in and turn this every now and then, and that is my seitan. And like I said, if this turns out, I will share the recipe in another video. All right, upward and onward. So you may ask, why go through all this trouble to create plant-based meat when you can go buy the real thing in the grocery store? Well, this is personally me. I don't like the process. I don't like how it gets from the animal to the slaughterhouse to the store. So I can't do that. I mean, that ship sailed 10 years ago. But I never disliked the taste of meat. I was not a big meat eater. But I think the thing that I miss the most is lunch meat. I used to like to eat lunch meat on a sandwich. So that's why I'm trying to recreate something similar so that I can have that taste, a similar taste, without the process of processing animals. So that's just my story. You do you, no judgment here. But I know some of you younger people that have been vegan for a long time are just grossed out by the taste of meat. But that's not the case with me. But yeah, so that's why I try and recreate food that I like from the plant-based world. All right, well, I got to clean up this mess. I'm taking apart my slicer, which is pretty easy to do, and I'll be using this more often because I want to also make some turkey lunch meat, and I'll probably freeze some of that too, so I'll have it in the future. Excuse me, and now that I have more room in my freezer, I can add a couple things and still use up what I have in there that needs to be used. So today I want to do something with these potatoes. So I'm going to make a very, very simple potato soup. I want to cut these eyes off and let them scar over like this one is starting to do, and start my potato garden. But let's go over to the freezer and see if there's any other vegetables that we want to put in here. All right, let's look in the freezer. I know there's nothing in the fridge. And let's look in here. All right, so I have these leeks that I want to use up. So I'm going to use those. These are green onions. I don't need those. Don't need anything else. All right. So that's what we're putting in the soup. Potato leek soup. And I froze some of my seitan. So I'll meet you at the stove. Okay, so This potato has several chits on it, but I'm going to eat the rest of the potato. It's got a little one coming here, but I'm not concerned about that one. So I'm going to leave enough potato on there because these little chits will get nutrition from the mama potato. And I don't want a whole lot of soup, just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it about here. Just a quick clean cut. And these are those butter russet potatoes that I have no idea what they're going to grow, if they're going to grow butter or russet. I imagine it's some kind of hybrid. They grow these in Texas. So, and I could probably even divide this again, but for now I'm going to leave it the way it is. And you want to put these so that the air can get to them, because if you put them on the cut part, it can't dry, and you want that to dry. So that's going in the soup. Let's see, this guy isn't producing much, but it's enough where I'll just cut this off. And again, I'll leave enough for the potato to have some nourishment. So that's one. And then this one has a nice growth on it, so I'll cut this one right here and leave the other half of the potato for my soup. Okay, so that looks good. This has a little bit of a rotten spot there. I'm going to cut that off because I don't want that to continue on. And another little spot here that I'm going to cut off too, and that'll all scar over. Alright, so I'm just going to put these on my windowsill and let them develop. Alright, so I'm going to peel these potatoes, cut them up, and cook the rest of these leeks. I probably shouldn't put them all in there, but I really would like to get rid of them. So it'll be a leek and potato soup. So that's one thing less in the freezer, and now my freezer is to the point where I can actually put some new things in it. I don't want to cram it up again, but it'll be good enough. Alright, so this is homemade celery that I dehydrated, so I want to put some of that in there. Celery is always a good flavor in soup. I don't know, about a couple teaspoons. And then I have this veggie broth base, and I don't have much left in there, so I'm going to put that in there. And I can always add more if it's not enough. Now potatoes take more salt. They absorb salt. So if you ever have a soup that's too salty, you can add a few potatoes to it, and the potatoes will absorb some of the salt. I don't know the science behind it, but alright, I'm going to peel these and stick them in here. And then this is going to be dinner, day 82, and I still have a little bit of tempeh bacon that I can sprinkle on top, and some green onions that I can sprinkle on top, so I think that'll be good. I'm also going to add some of this, where did I put it? Here it is. I'm going to add a little bit of this complete seasoning. Now this is salty too, it has salt, so you don't want to go too crazy with it. And then I'm going to use the immersion blender on this soup when it's done cooking. Alright, I'll be back when I get this all cut up. Okay, so I just rough cut these potatoes, and I'm going to add those to my pot. And if that isn't enough potatoes after they're done cooking, I can always add some more broth and some instant mashed potatoes. All right, so there's that much in there. I'm going to put, probably about 3 or 4 cups of water in here. Cook it in my Instant Pot on the soup setting for about 10 minutes. So I'll be back when this is done cooking. So I got the rest of my Amazon articles today. A couple of the cushion covers didn't fit, so I'll be sending those back. But so far I'm pretty happy with all the things that I bought for the living room, and they didn't really break the bank. And then these arrived today, and there's 24 of them. I think I paid $12 and something for them on Amazon. And the reason I got these are the mason jar lids, plastic. And I have a lot of those little Dollar Tree candle mason jars, and I want to put spices in there because when I put the shelves up here, I want this to be mainly spices and oils and things like that. So I got these because the metal ones, it's really hard to get the label off. And not only that, they'll rust eventually, and these will stay fresher. So I got those today. And I got the brackets for my shelving. So I'm excited to get that project started, but I'm not doing that yet. Just spiffing up the house with inexpensive things that will make it easier for me to keep things organized. So my soup is cooking. I have 8 more minutes, and it's not dinner time yet, but I don't like to cook late. So we'll see how that turns out. My soup is done. It's still hot. I was saying my soup is still hot, and I let it just cool down by itself when I went and took a shower. So I'm going to do this with the immersion blender now, and then I'm going to add, I think, some soy milk to it, but we'll see how thick it is. So let's see. Whoa. That's really loud. I'm going to go ahead and blend this up, and I'll be back. Okay, here is dinner day 82. It's a greenish soup because of the leeks, and it's not real thick, so I didn't have to add any milk at all, but it's very tasty. I topped it with croutons and my tempeh bacon, the rest of it, and green onions. So here is my dinner, day 81, or 82. So I'm going to go enjoy this, and you could eat that with a sandwich or a piece of bread, but I chose croutons for a little crunch. So, and for this type of soup, you can also add some carrots to it, some celery, and leave it chunky. But I blended it all up, and since I didn't have a lot of potatoes, this is how it came out. But it's really tasty. All right. I'm going to come over this way to keep the glare. I just got out of the shower. My hair is all wet. So that's all I have for you today. I want to wish you abundant blessings. I love you guys. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. God bless you, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, comment, and like. Thanks for watching.